All right. Hello, welcome to another Shoe Snob blog unboxing video series, One Take Wonders. Here we are with something new, something different, something you may think you would never see on my video series, blog, etc. But in the interest of spreading the word of all shoes across the world that are led by people with passion and a market and interesting things, so to speak, I'm happy to share everything to a degree. I will say, because some of you are going to be new to this channel, maybe, I don't get paid for any of these videos. If anything, the shoes are given to me free, and in the future I may sell them. I may or may not sell them. And selling them is often at 50-60% off retail, so it's not really like I'm swayed by anything, just to let you know. Not that I would be anyway, because money is never more important than integrity. So let's take a look at something very different. Now, most of you won't realize this, but maybe, I don't know, I say a few, but maybe like, 7, 8 years ago, my Facebook Shoe Snob page went like viral in Africa, in South Africa, so to speak. I don't know how. I had one photo that just went ballistic. It wasn't even my photo, it was somebody else's photo that I shared, of course crediting them with a beautiful, immaculate shine, one of the best shines on a pair of Edward Green boots. And that picture was shared, I don't even know how many times. And my page following just shot up from a huge African following. Now, a lot of them were in South Africa, but Africa's a very big continent full of more than 1 billion people, I believe. And truth be told, they have a huge love of shoes and shoemaking culture there. Most of you probably won't know this, but I do, because a lot of them follow me and write to me and are curious. And a lot of them are aspiring shoemakers and are attempting to create their own brands. Now, granted, every culture and continent and country will have different ideas of, the kind of the go-to shoes, so to speak. In Africa, much like where I spend a lot of time, Dominican Republic, in these hot, humid places, you have a lot of sandals and slides and mules and things that are very different than what we see here in America, which is a classic Oxford. And so I've always been hesitant to show something because it's vastly different than and not always. A lot of African people love dress shoes. They still dress elegant. They wear business clothing. I have some great clients from Africa. But it's it's different. It's another culture, and they wear different things. And so I've been approached by many to try to promote their brand, but a lot of them were just very small shoemakers with no website, no real anything. So it was kind of hard to help them with not being able to show something like, hey, here's the shoe and there's the website. You can buy it if you like. But I was recently approached by another brand that follows me on Instagram and had a serious site, a serious page, a serious owner who's very, responsive, and which is good, because if you're buying something online, you want to know there's somebody behind there who is ready to help you. And they asked me, if I would feature their stuff on the page, and I took a look and I saw a couple interesting things. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is not really my, so to speak, kind of style. They're all Blake Stitch shoes. Maybe I'm jumping ahead. Maybe we should just get into the brand. I'll talk about it later. But anyway, the point is, a brand coming out of Nigeria called Juyi Calton asked me to show their shoes. I found a loafer that I thought was nice, because I'm a sucker for braided, which I love. And I was curious to see what was coming out of there to serve, I imagine that his main base is the population of Africa, the continent of Africa, but of course he is a serious company that ships worldwide. So let's take a look. Juyi Calton. And what I got was the Manfredo loafer in last 170 and a size 40 for Mr. Justin Fitzpatrick. And impressively enough, he spelled my name exactly the way it should be, with a large P on Patrick. That, I tell you right now, that is attention to detail from a business owner, because most people's last name Fitzpatrick doesn't have a capital P, but my family decided to put it on there to separate them from the rest of the Fitzpatricks when they entered the US from Ireland. And most people get that wrong when they don't really know me. They just write Fitzpatrick like every other Fitzpatrick, but there's a capital P. And the fact that that was added shows attention to detail, which already shows integrity in a company. People who don't care, the way we are as humans, when you have attention to detail, that means you care. So that's a business owner who cares, in my opinion. So yes, box, very standard shoe box. Not, it's a little broken here. I know this box. I tested these types of boxes. Sadly, they don't always do well during shipping. All right. So again, we judge everything based on what you spend, etc., etc. Now, I did just go into attention to detail, but sadly, the packaging is very limiting, lacking. There is a separator, which is good, but the shoes were out of bags. There is one shoe bag instead of two. Some tissue. Could be that I slightly, when I tried the pair on, I may have slightly ruffled them. I would think at least one shoe should be in a bag just to protect them from themselves. Very basic bag here. I don't know, nylon material. Interesting color though. So here we have the Manfredo loafer. Now, if you know me, you know I love braided. I love braided. Braided is like my favorite look, especially for summer. Braided and suede, combine the two, it's even better. And so he had these braided loafers. I thought these are interesting. I'll take a look at these now. So Juyi Calton shoes are all made in Italy. Now, made in Italy typically means Blake Stitch, which they also all are. And again, for those that know me, it's not that I don't like Blake Stitch, it's just I simply can't wear them. I have delicate feet, so to speak, when it comes to the amount of material on the bottom and that cork. I need it. And Blake Stitch shoes, unfortunately, just don't do my feet justice. I also, for the most part, like to see a little bit of a welt. But Blake Stitch, in reality, is a much bigger industry than Goodyear welted. And most people in the world like a nice Blake Stitch shoe because it is flexible, as you see, lightweight, and because of the flexibility, a lot of people associate that with comfort. And so, yeah, Italian-made shoes. Now, this, I believe, is the most expensive shoe on his website at $270. And I believe the reason why is because this is, I want to say, not a prefabricated braiding, and that it was braided. The reason why, this could be its own video, but the reason why some shoemakers have braided models more expensive is because you're using twice the amount of leather. So two pieces of leather are literally coming together. So you have double the amount of materials, which is obviously going to increase the cost. So cheaper braids were, it's like prefabricated braiding. It's like grain leather. It's not a stamp. Obviously, you can't stamp a braid, but it's done in a different way that's sold like that, as opposed to being made like that and then making the shoe after braiding two sets of leather together. So this is the most expensive shoe on the website at $270. A lot of the shoes are $140 to $200. Personally, I only like the braided models. There's some. I would never wear a mule, but there are some interesting mules there that are braided, kind of like I think the Gucci's come up with these mules that are braided with the bit, and they have some fur on them, and they're kind of all the rage with the ladies. I don't see many guys, at least in America. I do think that's worn in other parts of the world, more in Asia, where slides are a little bit more common, like in Africa. So they got some interesting slides. I think visually they're pretty cool. I would never wear one, maybe in the house, but I don't wear slides. And but I like the concept. So braided loafers, you know, it's Blake Stitch. It's good stuff. There's nothing to complain about. This is the beauty of Blake's shoes, especially made in Italy. Italy are the masters of finishing. There's no flaws, there's no errors. It's just a nice Blake Stitch shoe for $270 if you like Blake Stitch shoes. And I will tell you, they were comfortable. Again, when I say things are comfortable, that's me saying how they felt immediately when I put them on. And you know, I do a little lap around my shop, as you can see. I don't wear the shoes over time, so I can't really give you that feedback. But for me, I can kind of tell when a shoe's comfortable right away. You know, I've tried on thousands of different brands in my life and worn them and kind of know. So the 40 fit me perfectly. I'm usually 40 and a half, and the 40 fit great. Nice and snug the way I like it. Granted, another thing about braided leather is because it has all of these breakings, they stretch. It's more pliable. It's not like a single piece of leather that has no give. These have give. So in my mind, it's always better to get a braided anything a little more snug, because it's gonna give a little bit more than your average leather shoe. Fit good, felt comfortable. We can take a look at that right now as you see me trying them on. And so yeah, again, great shoe, nice brand, serious website, nice owner, very responsive. And you know, I imagine in the continent of Africa, he's probably doing very well, because he's, you know, it's obviously the shoes are catered to that culture and that style. I know some people will have a misconception maybe about the fact that the brand comes from Nigeria, and there are, you know, history of scamming out of Nigeria, but you know what? They're scamming out of Canada, out of France, out of the US, out of every country. They run scams, and you just got to be smart. But again, this guy, at least with me, has been super responsive on Instagram, answers messages the way I answer them, like in minutes, and seems to be very passionate about making a brand, you know, to serve not only his local community, but the rest of the world that appreciate that. There's also a very cool teal, dark teal braided loafer. Now that is less expensive, and I do believe that comes from a prefabricated braided upper. This one, I believe, was two pieces sewn together, but it's a really cool color, dark green teal, very cool. So you can check that out. Anyway, something different. You know, you can't forget about whole sectors of the world, and for those of you that don't know, Africa is a huge continent full of lots of people that actually love footwear. And, you know, it's nice to be able to appeal to that too, for those that are living in Africa and don't know this brand. And here's a new brand for you to check out that is local to your community and makes some nice footwear. And again, they're made in Italy, which we can all trust as far as quality goes. Sorry, let me just show you some of the shoes, because I've really just been talking. So you got the shoe, nice last. Nice green sole, nice burnishing on the braided. The leather is very soft and supple, as you can see. It's very flexible. It's got a nice lining. Again, very comfortable. It really hugged my foot the way I like things to hug my foot. It did come quite high up. Thankfully, I have a low instep. For those of you that have a high instep, it might be a little trickier. But anyway, for $270, again, $270 today is not a lot for a dress shoe, unfortunately. You know, $270 20 years ago was like, you know, Goodyear welted stuff, but now $270 really is like the entry to get anything half decent. And we live in an expensive world, and in the last just 3-4 years, everything is gone 20-30% more expensive just like that. And so I do feel for $270 this is a nice shoe, and knowing that it is made in Italy with vero cuoio, which means genuine leather, you're gonna get a solid shoe. So thank you as always for tuning in. I hope you found this interesting. For those of you who don't know, there's a thriving shoe culture in Africa. And for those of you who are my African followers, I hope you've enjoyed seeing a brand from your continent. And if you don't know the brand, you can support the brand. Everything is shipped out of Nigeria, and shipping internationally is, I got my shoes and I think about, I don't know, let's just call it 3 to 5 days. Everything was very seamless. Owner is very responsive, nice guy, very articulate. As far as I know, you're in good hands when you buy from this brand. They got a legit website that's very well done. So make sure to check it out. I hope you've enjoyed, and do stay tuned for more. Thanks as always for tuning in. Take care.